Good morning, Elevation Health friends and family. I want to take this moment to thank you for tuning in. And I have a brief message this morning and one question. Who do you know that needs to fix their broken brain? And while it may sound somewhat humorous, it's true. At some point, we all have times where, our memory management fails us. We forget our keys and names and certain memories and things of that nature. I think we all have episodes of that. But sometimes, it gets more frequent and more obvious, and we're not paying attention to those signs or symptoms as we get older, which could be leading down the path of dementia, cognitive decline, and Alzheimer's. And there are reasons for this that go well beyond DNA and genetic predisposition. And as I always say, the genes play a part, but your lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. So, we have this workshop coming up here, Healing Your Broken Brain. You may have been listening to some of the videos playing in our office, some of the messages, some of the promotions, and the workshop is coming up in less than 2 weeks. I would say if you're listening to this and watching, it's probably the most important workshop that you can attend right now. I want to speak to you, especially if you're one of those people who think, it sounds like a good idea, but we'll see how things go. I'm not really sure what my schedule looks like. Please listen carefully, okay? By the time you start seeing these signs and symptoms of cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's, it's already too late. They know that Alzheimer's disease begins a good 10 years before any symptoms are even evident. And so my message to you is that you need to start considering addressing some of the issues that can actually prevent Alzheimer's and dementia long before it ever begins to show its ugly head. And so that starts with listening very carefully to what I'm going to talk about right now. And then, of course, strongly considering putting your name down on this registration page for this upcoming workshop here on August the 15th. You do not want to miss this, probably the most important workshop of the year. I know this all too well because Alzheimer's hit home for my family a few years ago with my mother-in-law. And I've been married 22 years now, and my mother-in-law was always very outgoing. She had a good sense of humor, lots of energy, never had any real health problems, so to speak, until she moved up to Woodbury, Tennessee. She had a prosperous career with FP&L, and she retired and bought her dream home up in the, in the middle of nowhere in Woodbury, Tennessee. Just got a nice house on a big hill in the country, and that's what she wanted. And we used to go and visit her every Christmas. We go up there every year, and the kids were little, and she'd make a big Christmas, like just went overboard with all the presents and cooking, and we just couldn't wait to go visit Grandma every year at Christmas. That was the highlight. And so every year we'd go up from 2005 up 2006, 7. It wasn't until probably 2015, about 10 years after she moved up there, that we started noticing she'd get really stressed out during Christmas. With everything that she was doing, planning for the grandchildren, making the surprises, wrapping the presents, staying up late at night, coordinating food. It just became too much. It became too stressful, and she'd literally have breakdowns. And we started noticing this around 2015, 2016. We went back and we noticed all these yellow sticky pads all over the place, because now her memory was failing her to the point where she just had to write everything down on stickies. And then we started getting calls, the next year from her beauty salon that, they noticed her mom was acting strange, that she had her hair done, and then she'd go back, an hour later and ask if she paid, that she forgot to pay. And then they didn't see her for a while after that. Apparently she forgot how to get there, how to drive there, just in town, literally less than a mile away. Other things became obvious when the police started following her home. She would go to the mall where she would always do her shopping and grocery shopping, which was probably like a 20-minute ride. And we got a phone call from the police that they found her on the side of the road on the highway because she was lost. She couldn't find her way home. So we knew something was wrong. We knew something was bad, but we quickly realized that it was getting bad very quickly. And it was progressing at a rapid pace. Soon after that, my wife realized that she wasn't answering her phone. And the reason why was she was starting to sleep throughout the day. She was starting to nap all the time because of the stress, the toll that it was taking on her just to manage her activities of daily living, bathing or lack of, because forgetting how to bathe, forgetting that she did need to bathe, taking care of the dogs, cooking for herself, doing the bills, household chores. All of that just became unbearable. It became too stressful. So that stress literally just shut her down to where she was just taking naps all day long. And then she started getting bills, from the overdue bills that were coming from the city and all types of other bills where she wasn't paying. She forgot how to do her bills. And my wife started having to do her bills for her and pay her bills. And this was all done remote for probably about a year. And finally, it just got to the point where my wife was like, this is not good. She needs help. She's not able to be independent, living on her own. She needs to come home. So my wife went up there and cleaned out her house, brought her down here. And it took us probably a good 6 months to sell her home, which was a process in and of itself. And then while she was here, she would stay in our house and she would be getting upset. She was mad all the time because she did not know who her grandchildren were. She wanted to know who this man was in her bedroom. She wanted to know who this little kid was who's in her way using her bathroom. And she's staying in our house and she's getting angry because she doesn't know who these people are. And needless to say, it was traumatic for our kids. And they were, maybe young enough or not old enough to not take it personally, but we had to sit down and talk to them and explain that grandma's not well. She's suffering with a condition right now. You can't take this personally, and we're going to get her some help. And so we did. We took her for an MRI. We took her to all kinds of neurologists, and we were able to diagnose it to where her long-term insurance was in a position to approve her for a memory facility. And consequently, the MRI showed a hardening of the arteries in her brain at a particular place where the blood supply was being shut off. And I know from my studies and my research and what we teach at the workshops, that all is due to inflammation. And there are causative factors for that, again, that we're going to speak about at the workshop so that you could prevent something like this from ever happening. And in her case, it wasn't really genetic. It was really more lifestyle. So she might have had some genetic predisposition to it, but her lifestyle, and again, I'll cover all this in the workshop, all the things to not do, she lived her life like this. And these were the consequences that unfolded right before our very eyes, sadly enough. Make a long story short, she's in a place called Artis right now. She's in a nice environment. But again, you wouldn't know it, she's 75 years old. She's young. When all this started, she was in her late 60s. She's 75 years old right now. And, she needs assistance with simple daily living activities like bathing, going to the bathroom, getting up, getting dressed, just basic things. And it's sad. It's sad to see somebody you love not recognize you, take them out shopping and going to the mall and to Dillard's and walking past a mirror and them stopping and staring and looking at themselves, not knowing that that's the person that they are. You don't know what this looks like until you're actually in the middle of it. And when you do recognize it, believe me when I tell you, you want to do everything that you can to avoid that and prevent ever winding up in that shape in the first place, not just for yourself, but for the people that you love as well. It's a terrible, terrible disease. So I urge you to consider what I'm saying, and whether you have somebody who has dementia or Alzheimer's or not, most importantly, even if it's before that point, consider coming to this workshop now, because we're going to talk about how to prevent that. Not just dementia and Alzheimer's, but it all comes down to all disease processes, even cancer and heart disease. You'll learn how to double your energy. You'll learn how to increase your mental clarity. We'll talk about not just nutrition, but the most advanced strategies when it comes to supplements to supporting the brain and supporting brain health. So you'll learn all this and a whole lot more at our upcoming Healing Your Broken Brain workshop. It's coming up Monday, August 15th at 5:45. So please make sure that you put your name down for you, your family members, loved ones, any guests. Save a seat, because this is going to be standing room only. So thank you so much for joining me today. I love and appreciate you. God bless.